August 2022 was my first mammogram ever. It found a lump on my left breast. Cancer, 3 centimeters, stage 2. After 12 weeks of chemo, I was scheduled for a double mastectomy. I had to think fast. My nipples, I had to lose them. The doctor said it wasn't safe to keep them. But my nipples had fed my 4 children. They had nursed for over 10 years combined. They were a big part of me. Yeah, I had big nipples. They were giant in comparison to my breasts. But I was proud of them. And I was wondering, they were a big part of me. I was wondering if there was some way that I could keep them without them killing me, to keep the memory alive. I decided to cast them. I went to art school and I had casted a few friends, casted body parts. I thought, I'll make an impression of my nipples. I'll make a mold. And I started researching the best methods, and there were a lot of chemicals to buy. With further research, I found that there was already a company that was making lifelike, custom, hand-painted prosthetic nipples. Wow, they look so real. I thought, let me leave this to the professionals. I'm on a timeline, and I don't have a lot of time with my nipples left, so I'm gonna let the professionals do this. I decided to splurge and have that company pour from my mold and do the hand coloring. They sent me the chemicals. They were pre-measured in 2 small containers. And once you combine the chemicals, you have to work quickly to cover the nipple and the areola, because within 10 minutes, the chemicals harden into a mold. So it was messy because you can't even touch the material. It's so sticky. I had to work with a popsicle stick and smear it all over the area. And I was holding my undershirt down. I ruined an undershirt trying to make this mold. And it took 10 minutes, and it was easy to remove. I peeled it right off of my nipple like a banana peel. I found a box that fit the mold, and finding the right box was really crucial because I needed to make sure that the mold arrived safely. I wasn't gonna have my nipples very much longer. So it was less than a month later, January 11, that was our same date, 2023, that was my double mastectomy surgery. And I stayed one night in the hospital. I remember waking up and seeing the bandages across my chest. I was scared to look. I could feel my breasts. It felt like they were still there. Later, I found out what I was feeling was phantom breast syndrome. And my phantom nipples, I knew exactly where they were, but they weren't. Because I finally got up the courage to look, and everything was gone. It's so strange feeling something that's actually not there. It's mind over matter. And if you don't mind, it don't matter. But it was strange. So I get home from the hospital. Like the next day, I had a package in the mail. And it was a small box inside of a mailing envelope. And I don't get a lot of mail. So I was excited. I opened the box, and it was my nipples. They had arrived by mail. We were reunited. But it was bittersweet because I didn't have any place to stick them. I mean, I wasn't just boobless, I was concave. So it was sad. A few weeks later, I got a call from the hospital that all of the cancer was gone from the surgery, and my lymph nodes were clear. So I called and met with my surgeon, and I removed the bandages for her to see because I wasn't sure what was possible. I mean, this was a double mastectomy to remove cancer, and the cuts were not cosmetic and clean. They had to do what they had to do to get the cancer out. So I asked Dr. I said, can you work with this? And she said, yes. And I felt relief because I wanted to wear my nipples and I couldn't. Okay, so my DIEP flap reconstruction surgery, that was February 6, 2023. That's a big surgery. My surgery was 8 hours long. And I don't remember the surgery, but I remember waking up and I could feel new breasts. I could see a little bit of them under the bandages. And they felt so different. They felt really tight. My breasts felt like they were engorged. I felt like I was nursing again. And I remember thinking, well, now I'll glue on my nipples and we'll be together again. Because yeah, I don't know, that's what I was thinking. So a week later, it was my post-op visit, and I decided to take my little box of nipples with me in my purse. And the nurse gives me a robe to put on, and I'm waiting for the surgeon, and I decide to stick on my nipples on my new healing breasts. This was the first time I ever put them on because my breasts were healing. And then I put the robe back on, and my surgeon walks into the room, and she says, take off your robe. I take off my robe, and she wasn't expecting to see nipples. And she looked shocked. And all of the surgeons in training, they looked shocked too, because there was like a trail of surgeons behind her. And were they witnessing a miracle? I said, my nipples regenerated. I have to say, they look so real. The texture, it was perfect. And so I took them off for everyone to inspect, and they took notes. So at the following post-ops, my surgeon refused to enter the room until I reassured her that there were no more surprises. I left my nipples at home because what I didn't think about with nipple prosthetics is that nipple prosthetics, they're always hard. And walking around with hard nipples all the time, nipples glued to my new mounds of flesh, that was not how I remembered nipples. And what if I was having an intimate experience? And what if the glue gave out and a nipple flew across the room? Why did I want to save these nipples? Honestly, these giant stretched out silicone nipples that nursed for over 10 years, they don't even match my new perky breasts. I love my new surgeon. She's a true artist. And my clothes fit me again. My breasts are warm and they're soft. And some days my new curves make me feel sexy. But when I look down on my breasts and I see them without my clothes, I see an ice cream sundae without a cherry on top. I see doll parts on my body. I feel rated G. And I'm not sure why I wanted to keep my nipples, because sometimes I feel like they turned on me. But then I thought about it a little bit more. And because of the kind of cancer that I had that was in my nipples, I feel like my nipples saved my life because they contained the cancer and they held it within them and they didn't let the cancer spread throughout my body. So I immortalized them by casting them.